Two numbers moved this summer in opposite directions. On June 15th, Hetzner raised the price of its cheapest cloud server by a third. Then yesterday, OpenAI cut the price of its cheapest GPT 5.6 tier by 80%. $1 per million tokens became 20 cents. So the server got more expensive and the intelligence got cheaper. That reads like an accounting note. It is the whole shape of an AI app, because the instinct, when you put a model in a product, is that the product must be heavy. Models are heavy, so hosting must be too. It runs the other way. The model runs on someone else's GPU, in someone else's data center, on someone else's power bill. Your server takes a form submission, writes one row, opens a connection to an API, and then it waits. Waiting is the part that gets priced wrong. A request to a language model spends most of its life doing nothing. Time to first token on the fast models lands under 600 milliseconds. The answer streams for a few seconds after that. For that whole window, your CPU is idle. And an architecture designed around a cost that rounds to zero comes out very small. Small enough that the whole application, the web server, the database, the queue, the sessions, fits on one box that costs less than lunch. 4 parts. Go for the server. HTMX for the browser, SQLite for the data. One virtual machine for all of it. Take them one at a time, because each one is doing something specific. First, a correction the title deserves. That $5 server is now €5.49. Hetzner CX23 went from $3.99 to $5.49 on June 15th. For that, you get 2 virtual CPUs, 4 GB of memory, 40 GB of NVMe storage, and 20 TB of traffic. 20 TB. Hold that number because it comes back later, and it is the single most expensive line on somebody else's platform. Go's current release is 1.26. 5. From July 7th. Version 1.26 turned on a new garbage collector called green tea by default, and cut the overhead of calling into C by about 30%, which matters the moment you link a C SQLite driver. Go's part is the waiting. A goroutine starts with a 2 kilobyte stack. An operating system thread reserves about a megabyte. That ratio is the entire argument. Somebody measured 100,000 of them running at once, 2,115 bytes each, and about 1.5 microseconds to create one. So 10,000 users, all mid-conversation, all waiting on a model, cost you roughly 21 megabytes of stacks. On a 4 gigabyte machine, that is a rounding error inside a rounding error. That is the trick, and it is not clever code. Go turns 10,000 people waiting from an infrastructure problem into a memory footnote. HTMX's part is the wire. Your server already knows how to render the page. HTMX lets a button ask for a fragment of HTML and swap it in without shipping a second copy of your application to the browser. 16 kilobytes gzipped by the project's own count. React and React DOM together are about 42 before a router, before state, before the build step that produced them. A correction, because this one is in a lot of blog posts. There is no HTMX3. The current stable release is 2.0. 10, and the next major version is 4. The maintainers said there would be no version 3, so when the rewrite came, they skipped straight past it to keep the promise. Version 4 is in beta with a summer 2026 target. What changes in 4 is under the floor. Fetch replaces X on Salimerish, which changes the event model, and attribute inheritance becomes explicit instead of implicit. Your templates mostly do not care. On the Go side, pair it with temple. Your HTML becomes Go code, compiled and type checked, so a renamed struct field breaks the build instead of rendering a blank div at 3 in the morning. That is the front end. No bundler, no hydration, no node modules directory that weighs more than the machine it deploys to. SQLite's part is the data, and this is where people get nervous. It is a file. There is no database server, no port, no connection string, no second machine. Turn on write-ahead logging, set synchronous to normal, set a busy timeout. Those 3 pragmas are most of the performance conversation. Benchmarked from Go on ordinary hardware, about 150,000 reads per second and about 20,000 writes per second when you serialize writers behind a single mutex. One decision to make early is the SQLite driver. The C-backed one is fastest. The pure Go one, modern AIC, runs at about 75% of its speed and needs no C toolchain, which is how you keep a build that cross-compiles into a static binary. And the benchmark numbers deserve a footnote. Tech Empower, the framework benchmark that settled arguments for a decade, archived its repository in March. The last round is dated February 2025, and it ran on a 32-core Xeon, not on your 2 CPU box. 20,000 writes a second. Ask yourself what your application's actual write rate is. For most products, the answer has 3 digits and a per minute attached to it. Expensify pushed a single SQLite server to 4 million queries per second. That number needs its caveat stapled on. Reads only, a 10 billion row table, fully cached in RAM on a large machine. But the caveats are the useful part. The ceiling is not where the folklore puts it, and the thing that stops you is a specific limit, not a vibe. Here is the specific limit. SQLite allows unlimited concurrent readers and exactly one writer at a time, even in well mode. Every serious conversation about the stack ends up at that sentence. Now the parts that make it an AI stack rather than a web stack. 3 of them: streaming, caching, and retrieval. Streaming first. The HTMX server sent events extension holds one HTTP response open and pushes many events down it. Your Go handler writes tokens as they arrive from the model. The browser appends them. That is the whole chat interface. Server sent events are one directional, which sounds like a limitation until you notice that a chat reply is also one directional. WebSockets solve a problem you have not got. Caching second, and this is where the money is. Anthropic charges 1.25 times base input to write a 5-minute cache and 1/10 of base input to read it back. DeepSeek prices a cache hit at 0.2 of a cent per million tokens against 14 cents for a miss. 50 times cheaper for the part of your prompt that never changes. And when the work does not need to happen while someone is watching, overnight summaries, embedding a backlog, nightly digests, the batch endpoints are a flat 50% off input and output at OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google alike. Retrieval third. SQLite Vec puts vector search inside the same file as your rows. 1 million vectors at 128 dimensions answers a nearest neighbor query in about 17 milliseconds on a Mac Mini. And it has a real edge. Push those vectors to 3072 dimensions and the same million row query takes 8.5 seconds. Binary quantization drags it back to around 124 milliseconds. So the rule is dimensions, not rows. Small embeddings, or quantized ones, stay inside a file. Large embeddings at scale are the point where a separate vector database earns its bill. Now put a bill together, because this is the part that changes what you build. Take 1,000 daily users, 10 messages each. 300,000 requests a month, say 1,500 input tokens per request, system prompt plus history, and 400 tokens back. On the model OpenAI cut yesterday, that is $90 of input and $144 of output. $234 of tokens against a $6 server. Your infrastructure is 2.5% of the bill, and the model is 39 times the machine it runs through. Now cache the system prompt. 1,200 of those 1,500 tokens become cache reads at 1/10 of the price. Input drops from $90 to $25. Total bill, $234 down to $169. Worth doing. But look at what did not move. Output. Output is 6 times the price of input on that model, and caching cannot touch it. Trim your answers from 400 tokens to 250, and you save $54, more than caching the entire system prompt did, which is a strange place to land. The highest leverage performance work on an AI app is a sentence in your system prompt asking the model to be brief. This is not theory. Peter Levels runs PhotoAI at around $100,000 a month from one Hetzner box, a single 40,000-line PHP file, and SQLite. PHP, not Go, which is the point. The language is interchangeable, the shape is not. One process, one file, one machine, no orchestration layer. At the other end of the scale, 37 signals left the cloud and took their monthly spend from $180,000 to under $80. Roughly $2 million saved in a year, and the failure case that pays for this video. A Next.js app on Vercel at 500,000 monthly page views runs past $7,000 a year, with bandwidth billed at 15 cents a gigabyte past the first terabyte. 15 cents a gigabyte. Your €5 Hetzner box includes 20 terabytes. At Vercel's overage rate, that allowance alone would be $3,000. Now the part these videos usually skip. Here's where this stack actually hurts, and you should know all 4 before you commit. 1. The single writer. If your workload is thousands of small concurrent writes per second, SQLite will queue them behind one lock and you will feel it. That is a real ceiling, not a tuning problem. 2. One machine is one machine. If it dies, you are down. Litestream version 0.5. 15. Shipped 10 days ago, streams your write-ahead log to object storage continuously, so you lose seconds rather than everything. Failover is still you, awake, typing. 3. Deploys restart the process. A Go binary swap is fast, but it is not zero. If you need actual zero downtime deploys, you are back to 2 machines and a load balancer, and the simplicity argument weakens. 4. The vector ceiling from earlier. Large embeddings at 1,000,000 plus rows are where the file stops being enough. None of those are reasons to start somewhere else. They are the 4 conditions that tell you when to leave, which is a much better thing to have than a guess. What deployment looks like. Build a static Go binary with CGO disabled, embed your templates and assets into it, copy one file to the server, and run it under systemd. Put Caddy in front. 2 lines of config, and it fetches and renews your Let's Encrypt certificate on its own. Litestream replicates the database file out to Cloudflare R2. R2 stores a gigabyte for 1.5 cents and charges nothing to read data back out. The same terabyte leaving S3 costs about $90. Restores are rare, and the one time you need one is the worst possible moment to meet a bandwidth invoice. That is the whole operation story. One binary, one file, one proxy, one backup daemon. No cluster, no control plane, no YAML that describes other YAML. And when the model providers cut prices again, which they did yesterday and will again, nothing in your architecture has to change. You edit one string. Inference is 80 to 90% of what AI companies spend. AI-first software firms are handing 40 to 50% of revenue to model providers. Against gross margins, investors expect to start with a 7. Token prices fell roughly 280 times in 2 years, and AI bills still went up 320% because volume grew faster than prices fell. That is the argument for this stack in one line. The bill that will hurt you is the one you cannot optimize with a bigger server, so stop spending your attention there. Put the boring parts on a box that costs $6, keep the whole thing in one process where you can reason about it, and spend your engineering on the tokens. That is the stack.